Not every invitation needs to be accepted, and one player learnt that the consequences of their actions can end the party early. Coco and Venus decided to recruit, and that person was Rhea. While I wasn't surprised that Coco and Venus picked Rhea, I was surprised that Rhea was seriously considering accepting. Rhea seemed more concerned about being murdered. If she refused, then being banished. I was wondering if Rhea had been paying any attention to what has been said to her, or just the general air in the manor. Rhea has repeatedly been suspected as being a traitor, and given her voting switch the previous night, she was going to come up again, but more heavily in this episode's roundtable. I questioned Rhea's strategy. I questioned it during my video in episode 5 when she voted for Dom instead of Omar, or even Coco, despite her pre-roundtable discussions where she was pushing for Omar. At the end of episode 5, I thought either Coco or Rhea would be banished, but with Rhea accepting the seduction, I was firmly thinking it was going to be her. Coco and Venus wouldn't even need to lead or participate in it, as I believed the faithfuls would get there on their own. I guess we now get to see how good of an actress Rhea actually is. I thought Rhea was talking a lot during breakfast. I didn't know if there was extra emphasis due to the edit, or if this was a lot more than she would normally do. I'm not sure if Rhea was under the radar as she was trying to be. It looked like the opportunity to follow Kevin's thread pointing at Coco was passing, much to Jericho's frustration. Some faithfuls were either never on that train or have now jumped off, but Jericho just can't let it go. Hollywood doesn't think it's Coco, but now thinks it's Dom and Venus, and that they're using their showmance to talk traitor game in the open. For the mission, we got an appearance from Karine a bit early as she gathered the players, but one player made a throwaway comment that later came back to bite them. The players needed to pick the 4 players they trusted the most. It was funny hearing Lizette say she trusts Meredith given their little conflict at the start. Hollywood, Jericho, Natalie and Sarah Nicole were the 4 picked, which meant they stayed at the manor while the others went out into the woods. The Traitors as a whole seems determined for every version to have at least one mission with creepy dolls involved. It's a low-key obsession because not every mission that features creepy dolls are the same, so some become comedic while others are just average. For this mission, each team was tasked with trying to find a doll at a specific location stated on a map. Then they needed to find a red pouch that has a coin. Using the coin in the phone booth, they would call the person on their team back at the manor and describe the doll they found. Then the person at the manor had to find the correct doll in a room of many creepy dolls. All 4 correct dolls would need to be in Karine's dollhouse in order for everyone to be safe from murder. Karine offered each trusted person the opportunity to swap their doll with an incorrect one so they could win a shield, which would also mean anyone that took the shield wouldn't be adding any money to the pot. I thought there would be at least one person who would take up Karine's offer and take the shield. To my surprise, the faithful I thought would take it didn't. The first name that popped into my head was Sarah Nicole, and how wrong was I as she didn't take the offer. Jericho, who saw Karine before Sarah Nicole, actually took a shield. While watching Hollywood's decision, I thought he might have taken the shield because he wasn't given a good enough description, but he didn't take up the offer. With Hollywood, Natalie and Sarah Nicole not taking the shield, Jericho was the only one that did. Jericho, who many deemed amongst the most faithful and who they trust, betrayed them to save his own skin. It wouldn't have mattered if he didn't because Hollywood didn't find the correct doll, so the traitors would have the option to murder regardless. By not revealing he took the shield, Jericho might help shield the other 3. While Hollywood was thinking Dom and Venus were having traitor meetings in the open, there actually was a public traitor conversation when Coco, Rhea and Venus sat outside talking. I'm surprised no one had walked up to join their conversation. It would have been interesting to see how they would have dealt with an interruption and how they would pivot away from their traitorous topic. At the round table, Venus made an interesting move by starting things off, but really used it to get Natalie to talk. We know how upset Natalie Natalie was about Rhea's move in the previous roundtable, so it was no surprise Natalie brought up her suspicions of Rhea. The comment made after Corinne gathered them ended up being more than a throwaway, as Natalie had paid attention.
To see her in the daylight is crazy. I know, it's so true.
Natalie brought up Rhea's comment. At the time I thought to myself, why would you say that when you see Corinne every day, because the missions mostly occur in the daytime? For Natalie to pick up on that and use it in regards to Rhea possibly seeing Corinne at night in the turret was such a good thing for her case against Rhea. This roundtable saw many of them talking and I was enjoying it. Too many times we were shown silent voices, but this felt like this was the roundtable that most of the players had some sort of say, some more than others. There were names being thrown out, some which haven't been said at the roundtable before. Following on from his conversations earlier in the day, Jamal raised his suspicions of Kara. I just need to give a shout out to Lizette, who actually read the room and temporarily moved away from her one-woman crusade against Charla by voting for Rhea. The more it goes on, the more I want to be able to see Lizette's reaction when she finds out that Charla is a faithful. Rhea's bad faithful gameplay came back to bite her as a traitor as she was banished. During this and the previous episode, I've been trying to figure out what Rhea's strategy was, and I'm none the wiser. When she was accepting the seduction, did Rhea really think those that suspected her while she was a faithful would magically forget? Did she think that just because she squared things with Jericho that the others would be fine with things? Rhea might not have blown her game in one sitting like Kevin did, but I think Rhea's effort was a ticking time bomb. I love how Hollywood keeps referencing being better than the season 2 faithfuls, because they have been. Even though they've had their moments, catching a second traitor has bagged another $10,000 for the prize fund on top of what they earned in the mission. I kinda felt sorry for Jericho. Two of the people he trusted in the game ended up being traitors. It's a good thing Jericho took the shield. You hope for his sake the other faithfuls see his defense of Rhea as misguided, rather than a traitor trying to protect a fellow traitor. From Venus and especially Coco's point of view, the recruitment of Rhea was an excellent move. It takes some heat off Coco, and with Jericho's trust shattered, he may look elsewhere. Though they have the chance to recruit again, it was very clear that Coco and Venus wanted to eliminate a faithful instead. Coco and Venus threw out names of faithfuls that were in the woods, but they also mentioned Sarah Nicole. I think Coco and Venus should take the chance and go for Sarah Nicole. I've already spoken about how dangerous I think she is, and the traitors recognise that danger. I think it's worth taking the chance by going for Sarah Nicole regardless if they think she has a shield. If successful, then they take out a dangerous faithful. If they miss, which we know they wouldn't, then the faithfuls might think the traitors have recruited again. It could temporarily throw some heat in Hollywood, Jericho or Natalie's direction, even though it wouldn't have made sense for one of them to go for her. We know that sometimes some faithfuls overthink things, and this has the potential to make them do so. We shall see if Coco and Venus murder Sarah Nicole, Shaughnessy or someone else.